Life will test you. Not might, not could. It will test you. Sometimes life tests you with a gentle tap on the shoulder. Other times it knocks you flat on your back. But here's what I've learned in my journey. It's not the test that defines you. It's how you respond to it. I want to talk to you today about something that matters to every single one of us. Not just success, not just wealth, but strength. Inner strength, the kind that keeps you standing when everything around you says to fall. You see, anybody can stay positive when everything's going their way. Anybody can feel motivated when the sun is shining. But what about when the storms come? What about when life doesn't just rain on your parade but brings a hurricane? That's what we're going to talk about. Not just how to survive those moments, but how to use them to become stronger, wiser, and better than you were before. I've met thousands of people in my lifetime. Some crumble at the first sign of trouble. Others seem to grow stronger with every challenge. What's the difference? That's what I want to share with you. Life's tests come to all of us. Rich or poor, young or old, no one gets a pass. The question isn't if you'll be tested, it's when. And more importantly, what will you do when that test arrives? Let me tell you something powerful. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. The same is true with life's challenges. We overestimate how devastating they are in the moment and underestimate how much stronger they can make us over time. Here's the first key to staying strong. You must change how you see challenges. Most people see challenges as punishment. Successful people see them as preparation. What if every challenge you face isn't happening to you but for you? I remember talking to a young man who lost his job, his savings, and nearly his marriage all in one brutal year. He told me, Mr. Rohn, I don't think I can take any more. I asked him, what if this isn't the end of your story but just the beginning? What if everything you're going through is preparing you for something greater than you can see right now? 2 years later, that same man had started his own business, rebuilt his marriage, and told me it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Not the easiest, but the best. Why? Because he changed how he saw his challenges. The second key to staying strong is this. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Too many people pray for a lighter load, but what you need is stronger shoulders. I learned this lesson from my mentor when I was just starting out. I was complaining about how hard things were, and he stopped me mid-sentence. He said, Jim, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenges. Wish for more wisdom. That changed everything for me. I stopped focusing on the difficulty of the path and started focusing on developing myself to walk any path. And you know what happened? The difficulties didn't disappear, but my fear of them did. Here's something I want you to write down. The level of your success will rarely exceed the level of your personal development. If you want life to get better, you have to get better. It's that simple and that profound. The third key to staying strong is to mind what you're feeding. Not just your body, but your mind and your spirit. What are you reading? Who are you listening to? What environments are you putting yourself in? You know, they tell us we are what we eat, but the truth goes deeper. We are what we consume mentally and emotionally too. In times of testing, you need proper nourishment for your mind and spirit. I met a woman once who told me she couldn't stop feeling anxious and defeated. I asked her what she was reading and watching each day. Turns out 3 hours of negative news, gossip magazines, and conversations with complainers. Said, you're wondering why you feel defeated while feeding yourself a steady diet of defeat. When life tests you, that's when you need to be most careful about what you're consuming. Read autobiography of those who overcame adversity. Listen to people who inspire rather than expire. Put yourself in environments that uplift rather than drain. Here's a simple practice. Start your day with 30 minutes of something that strengthens you, reading, meditation, prayer, exercise. Whatever fills your tank. Do this before you check emails, before social media, before the world starts making demands. This simple habit has transformed thousands of lives. The fourth key is understanding the power of meaning. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, said, "Those who have SY to live can bear almost any." How? When life tests you, you need a powerful... I've seen people endure incredible hardships because they were driven by something bigger than their pain. A parent working 3 jobs for their children's future. An entrepreneur failing repeatedly because they believe in their mission. A patient fighting through terrible illness because they have more living to do. What's your why? What gets you out of bed on the hardest days? If you don't have a clear answer, finding one might be the most important work you ever do. You see, life tests reveal what's truly important. They burn away the trivial and leave only what matters. Use that clarity. Let your challenges reveal what you truly value, what you're truly here for. The 5th key to staying strong is perhaps the most counterintuitive. You must give when you feel most empty. The natural human response to difficulty is to close up, to protect, to focus on self-preservation. But the most powerful response is often the opposite. I remember visiting a community after devastating natural disaster. Among the victims was an elderly man who had lost nearly everything, but there he was, helping others find shelter, sharing what little he had, organizing volunteers. I asked him how he found the strength. He said, "When you have nothing left to lose, you have everything to give." Something magical happens when you give in times of emptiness. It reminds you of your power. It connects you to others. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you can offer. And suddenly you're not a victim of circumstances, but a force of nature. Find someone who needs what you have, even if all you have is a kind word, a helping hand, or simply understanding. Give that. Well, that's what happens not just to them, but to you. The 6th key is mastering your inner dialogue. The conversation you have with yourself during life's test will either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Most people don't realize how they talk to themselves. They say things they would never say to someone they love. "I can't handle this. Why does this always happen to me? I'll never get through this." These aren't just thoughts. They're commands to your subconscious. Start catching yourself. When you hear that negative inner voice, stop and ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this how I would talk to someone I love? Then deliberately change the conversation. Instead of, "I can't handle this," try, "This is difficult, but I'm stronger than I realize." Instead of, "Why does this always happen to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "I'll never get through this," affirm, "I've survived every difficult day so far." That's a 100 success rate. Your inner dialogue creates your outer reality. Master the 1st, and you'll The 7th key to staying strong is to understand the seasons of life. Nature doesn't fight seasons. It adapts to them. The tree doesn't panic when it loses its leaves in fall. It doesn't try to hang on to summer. It knows winter is coming, and it prepares. Life has seasons too. Seasons of abundance and scarcity, seasons of connection and loneliness, seasons of clarity and confusion, seasons of growth and seasons of pruning. When you're in a difficult season, remember, no season lasts forever. Winter always gives way to spring. Always. The question is, will you fight the season you're in, or will you adapt to it and let it serve its purpose? Use winter to rest, to plan, to build your roots deeper. Use the difficult seasons to develop qualities you couldn't develop in easy times. Patience, resilience, compassion, wisdom. These are winter virtues, forged in difficulty, not in ease. The 8th key is to harness the power of incremental progress. When life knocks you down, don't try to leap back to where you were. Take small, consistent steps. I worked with a man who lost the use of his legs in an accident. His doctor told him he'd never walk again, but instead of accepting that verdict, he decided to try to move one toe, just one. It took him weeks of effort. Then he worked on the next toe. Then his ankle, inch by inch, month by month, he rebuilt his connection to his body. 2 years later, he walked into my seminar, slowly, with support, but he walked. When life tests you, big goals can feel overwhelming, so think small. What's one tiny step you can take today? Don't worry about the mountain. Just take one step up the path, then another, then another. Remember, Champions don't make giant leaps that look impressive. They make tiny improvements consistently over time. Those tiny improvements compound just like interest in a bank. The ninth key is something few people talk about. You must learn to rest, not quit. There's a vast difference between the two. In our culture of hustle and grind, rest has become almost a dirty word. But every great athlete knows that recovery isn't optional. It's essential. Your muscles don't grow during the workout. They grow during the recovery. The same is true for your mental and emotional strength. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop pushing and allow yourself to rest. Not forever, just long enough to heal, to reflect, to rebuild your energy. Take a day off, get more sleep. Go for a walk without your phone. Sit in silence. Spend time with people who fill you up rather than drain you. These aren't luxuries. They're necessities if you want to stay strong through life's tests. The 10th key to staying strong is perhaps the most important. You must connect to something larger than yourself. Call it God, the universe, nature, humanity, whatever resonates with you. But connect to it. When life knocks you down, it's easy to feel isolated in your pain. But the truth is, you're part of something much larger. Your struggles and triumphs are threads in a grand tapestry. Your life has meaning beyond what you can see right now. This perspective doesn't make the pain disappear, but it makes it bearable. It reminds you that your story isn't over. It's still unfolding. It gives you the courage to turn the page and see what comes next. Now, let me share some specific strategies for the most common test life brings. When financial hardship tests, first, face the reality of your situation without shame. Many people make financial challenges worse by hiding from them. Open the bills, look at the numbers, then make a plan based on reality. Remember, is a tool, not a measure of your worth. Some of the richest people I've met have been the most miserable. Some of the financially poorest have been the most content. Why? Because they understood that net worth and self-worth are entirely different things. Use financial challenges to reassess what truly matters. Use them to develop creativity, discipline, and resilience. These qualities will serve you long after the financial challenge has passed. When relationships test you, whether it's a difficult marriage, a strained friendship, or family conflict, relationship challenges cut to our core. They touch our deepest needs for connection, understanding, and love. First, remember that most relationship problems stem from unmet expectations. Sometimes the solution isn't getting others to meet your expectations, but adjusting those expectations to reality. Second, take responsibility for your part, even if it's just two of the problem. You can't change others, but you can change yourself. And sometimes changing yourself changes the entire dynamic. Third, seek to understand before being understood. Most people in conflict are listening for ammunition, not understanding. Break that cycle. Listen with genuine curiosity, not just waiting for your turn to speak. And finally, know when to hold on and when to let go. Not every relationship is meant to last a lifetime. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is release someone with love. When health challenges test, the few things are more frightening than having your health threatened. Whether it's chronic pain, serious illness, or limiting conditions, health challenges force us to confront our mortality and limitations. First, become an active participant in your health, not a passive victim. Educate yourself. Ask questions. Seek second opinions. Take control what you can. Your diet, exercise, stress management, sleep. Second, find others who have walked a similar path. Their experience can be a lifeline when you feel lost. Their success can be hope when you need it most. Third, use health challenges to prioritize what truly matters. Nothing clarifies your values like facing your mortality. Use that clarity as a gift, not just a burden. And finally, remember that even with health limitations, you can live a life of meaning, connection, and contribution. Some of the most impactful people in history worked through serious health challenges. When career setbacks test you, whether it's job loss, business failure, or missed opportunities, career challenges strike at our sense of identity and security. First, separate what happened from what it means about you. Losing a job doesn't make you a failure. A business setback doesn't make you incompetent. These are events, not identities. Second, use career setbacks to reassess your path. Maybe this challenge is redirecting you to something better aligned with your strengths and passions. Maybe it's forcing growth you've been avoiding. Third, remember that your most valuable assets aren't your title or paycheck, but your skills, character, and relationships. Invest in those, and you'll weather any career storm. And finally, understand that almost every successful person has faced significant career setbacks. These aren't detours from your path. They're part of the path. When grief tests, losing someone or something you love creates a pain like no other. It can feel like the world should stop turning, and yet it keeps going. First, give yourself permission to feel the full range of emotions that come with grief. Don't rush the process. Don't hide from the pain. Moving through grief requires feeling it honestly. Second, find ways to honor what you've lost while still moving forward. Carry their memory, their lessons, their love, not as a weight that holds you back, but as a light that guides you. Third, connect with others who understand. Grief can be isolating, but you're not alone in your experience. Let others walk alongside you. And finally, know that grief doesn't end, but it does change. The sharp pain becomes a tender spot. The emptiness gradually fills with gratitude for what you had. The tears eventually mix with smiles at precious memories. When failure tests, we've been taught to avoid failure at all costs. But what if failure isn't your enemy, but one of your greatest teachers? First, separate the failure of an action from the failure of your person. You are not your failures. You are not defined by your worst moments or biggest mistakes. Second, extract the lessons without drowning in regret. What worked? What didn't? What will I do differently next time? Then use those answers to improve. Third, remember that failure is an event, not a character trait. It's something that happens, not something you are. And it happens to everyone who tries anything worthwhile. And finally, understand that your response to failure reveals more about you than the failure itself. Anyone can celebrate success. But those who can fail, learn, adjust, and try again, those are the people who eventually succeed. When criticism tests, you things sting like harsh criticism, especially when it comes from someone whose opinion matters to you. First, separate the content from the delivery. Sometimes valuable feedback comes wrapped in clumsy or even hurtful packaging. Don't miss the gift because you don't like the wrapping. Second, take what's useful and leave the rest. Not all criticism is created equal. Some comes from a place of genuine care and insight. Some comes from others' insecurities or limited perspective. Learn to tell. Third, use criticism as data, not definition. It's information about how your actions impact others or how your work is received, not a statement about your worth as a person. And finally, remember that criticism is often the price of growth, creativity, and courage. The more you try, the more you put yourself out there, the more you'll be criticized. That's not failure. That's part of success. When uncertainty tests, you things trigger more anxiety than not knowing what's coming next. Whether it's waiting for test results, wondering if a relationship will last, or facing an unclear future, uncertainty can be paralyzing. First, focus on what you know, not what you don't. In every uncertain situation, there are still things you can count on. Your values, your abilities, your support system. Second, take the next right step, even if you can't see the whole path. You don't need to know the entire journey to begin walking. Third, find the opportunity in the unknown. Uncertainty means the story isn't written yet. You have a chance to influence the outcome, to create rather than just react. And finally, develop your tolerance for uncertainty like a muscle. Start with small uncertainties and work your way up. Like any skill, this gets easier with practice. When loneliness tests. In our hyper-connected world, loneliness has reached epidemic proportions. Whether you're physically isolated or feeling alone in a crowd, loneliness can be a profound test. First, distinguish between being alone and being lonely. The first is a circumstance. The second is a feeling. You can be surrounded by people and feel desperately lonely, or be by yourself and feel peacefully connected. Second, use loneliness as a signal, not a sentence. It's telling you something important about your need for meaningful connection, not that you're somehow unworthy of it. Third, start with one meaningful connection rather than trying to fill your life with shallow interactions. Quality matters more than quantity when it comes to relationships. And finally, remember that some of life's most important work happens in solitude. Use alone time to know yourself, to create, to reflect, to grow. Then bring that fuller version of yourself to your relationships. When self-doubt tests, that inner voice that questions your abilities, your decisions, your worth, it can be the most persistent and persuasive critic you'll ever face. First, recognize that self-doubt is universal. Even the most accomplished people experience it. The difference is they don't let it have the final word. Second, collect evidence against your self-doubt. Keep a record of your successes, compliments you've received, challenges you've overcome. Review it when doubt creeps in. Third, take action despite the doubt. You don't need to feel confident to begin. You need to begin to feel confident. Action creates the very confidence you're waiting to feel. And finally, surround yourself with people who believe in you, especially when you struggle to believe in yourself. Their faith can carry you until your own returns. Now, let me give you some daily practices that will help you stay strong through any test life brings. Practice gratitude daily. Not just when things are good, but especially when they're not. Find 3 things to be grateful for even on your worst days. This isn't denial. It's a reminder that no difficulty consumes everything. Move your body every day. Physical movement isn't just good for your body. It's essential for your mental and emotional well-being. It releases tension, improves your mood, and reminds you of your resilience. Help someone else. Nothing pulls you out of your own problems like helping someone with theirs. It reminds you of your agency, your ability to make a difference despite your circumstances. Learn something new every day. Growth is an antidote to stagnation and despair. It reminds you that whatever difficulty you're facing, you're still alive, still capable, still becoming. Take time for stillness, whether through meditation, prayer, or simply sitting quietly in nature. Stillness helps you hear the wisdom beneath the noise of your challenges. Connect meaningfully with at least one person each day. Share honestly. Listen deeply. Remember that you're not meant to face life's tests alone. Just what went reflection. Ask yourself, what went well today? What was difficult? What did I learn? How did I grow? This simple practice helps you extract meaning from even the hardest days. Let me leave you with this final thought. Life will test you. That's guaranteed. But these tests aren't punishment. They're opportunity. They reveal what's inside you. They forge qualities that can't be developed any other way. They prepare you for a future you cannot yet see. The question isn't whether you'll face difficulty. It's who you'll become through it. Will you become bitter or better? Will you shrink or expand? Will you close your heart or open it wider? I've seen people face the same challenges with vastly different outcomes. The circumstance wasn't the determining factor. Their response was. And your response is the one thing you always control. So when life tests you, and it will, remember this. You were built for this, not because it's easy, but because you have within you the capacity to grow through it. You have the ability to use difficulty as a springboard rather than a stopping point. Stay strong, not by avoiding life's storms, but by learning to dance in the rain. Stay strong, not by escaping your challenges, but by engaging with them fully. Stay strong, not despite your difficulties, but because of how they reveal your true capacity. Life's greatest tests often precede its greatest triumphs. Hold on. Keep going. The strength you seek is already within you, waiting to be discovered in the very challenges you wish would disappear. Remember this truth. Success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. The trials you face today are making you into the person who will attract tomorrow's opportunities. Your challenges aren't random bad luck. They're the very tools shaping you into someone extraordinary. I've studied the lives of the most successful, Most impactful people throughout history. You know what I found? Not a single one had an easy path. Not one. They all faced moments where giving up seemed reasonable. They all had dark nights of doubt. They all questioned whether they could continue. What separated them wasn't talent or luck or circumstances. It was their response to life's tests. They used adversity as fuel rather than excuse. They allowed difficulties to reveal their character, not destroy it. They understood that diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire, and human potential is realized through challenges. So when life tests you, and I promise it will, stand firm in this knowledge. You were made for this moment. Everything in your past has prepared you for this challenge, and everything in your future may depend on how you respond to it. Not just your success, but your significance. Not just your achievements, but your legacy.